Hi, this is James, and for today's video, I'm kind of talking about a variety of things, but I guess this one is hopeful, similar to the last ramble I did, and I really like the way that video turned out, where I kind of did a reversion to my older style of doing things, minimal cuts, letting things kind of breathe, and yeah, a little more fluid. The only thing I want to mention is check out my album, I Only Know What the People Before Me Said. I already have new music I'm working on, so please listen to this while it's fresh. I Only Know What the People Before Me Said by James Coe. Check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out. So I rewatched Marty Supreme yesterday, and it made me have, I don't know, it made me kind of reflect on the Safdie brothers and my perspective going into them now. So for context, I first watched Uncut Gems. That was my first exposure. Then Good Time. Then Marty Supreme. I'm not going to talk about the short films or Daddy Longlegs or some of the other films they've done. I'm only going to talk about the last three Safdie brothers. Well, Josh Safdie specifically. But the reason why I'm talking about those specifically is because it's like those are the three massive budget, or not massive, but distinctly non-indie film kind of big statements. The interesting thing is when I first watched it, like Uncut Gems to me, I thought it was good, not great. I didn't fully get the intent of it. Even though the ending is like, you know, there's a lot to draw from. I still didn't get the intention of the film, and I didn't get like the reason why it started like that. And it's not that it was like, oh, it was that indecipherable. It's more like where my head was at in terms of understanding film at that time. And then when I watched Good Time, I had watched a lot of movies since, and I started to grasp more, and I feel like I had a better, broader understanding. And again, my film knowledge is so limited compared to most people's. But the reason why I want to talk about this is due to the kind of personal connection I have with these films. And Good Time to me, I was like, oh, this is amazing. And it made a lot of things click for me in why people enjoy the Safdies and why they get this sort of praise. And at that point in time, I had not yet seen After Hours and King of Comedy, two very important Scorsese movies, in my opinion, to understanding how the Safdie brothers get the feeling that they get. And specifically, with those last three movies, the setting in New York is very important. But Good Time to me, for a variety of reasons, I felt a very innate connection to. And one of the things I really appreciate is the discussion that is kind of forced upon you of self-importance and a sort of savior complex of sorts. And that's something that I think is really important and like a very under-discussed thing, because it's hard to do without making someone evil. Or like I almost think of like sort of like Rudyard Kipling's White Man's Burden understanding of the world, and instead it's a lot more nuanced, and I think people like to have consistency in people. People really search for consistency, and especially in characters, because it's a great way of understanding a character through consistency. And Good Time to me shattered that understanding in a way that felt so refreshing, and at the time I had only experienced a few times before in film, but never that upfront and in your face with it, where in moments you're so conflicted and you feel such hatred and vitriol towards someone, but at the same time you have this weird sort of not mixed feeling, but like genuine like empathy, as well as like sort of confidence, unnatural confidence in them, and hope, like this weird sort of hope. And Marty Supreme, that was, of course, like, it wasn't out by the time I watched Good Time. When I watched Marty Supreme, that was great to me because it spoke on that desire component, and definitely the whole like layered character that's inconsistent, and you gain a better understanding of them. And when I rewatched Marty Supreme, what it made me realize was like how much the dry comedy angle of it differentiates it between Good Time especially, as well as Uncut Gems. But Uncut Gems I feel like has a little bit of that as well. due to the sort of like recency of some of it. Like the weekend club scene is almost like, it's so surreal to watch. It's like almost puts you, it's a, you know, it surprises you. And that's so vital to kind of keeping this weird sort of like, you know, very serious, but still not overly self-serious. And that's something that I really appreciated. Now, the thing that kind of changes your perspective on these movies is when you've seen some of the films that the Safdies are influenced by, it's sort of the Wes Anderson effect, where you love it, and then you watch the films that's influenced by, and you realize, oh, the charm of it is for these angles, not for the aesthetic practices, or not for even a lot of the storytelling component. For Wes, it's like you watch a Jacques Tati movie and you go, oh, he took this in terms of character design, setting, whatever it may be. Whereas when you watch Good Time and then you watch a movie like After Hours, which I think is a fantastic double viewing, you notice the differences and the nuances of both are mainly the time frame in which they're made. In which, even though Good Time is technically set, I think it's like 2007. It's like technically set a little bit back, but the placement there creates a different sort of angle. There's not the same hope for a systemic improvement, or and not that After Hours has that, but After Hours is sort of a commentary on like the corporate ladder, the demoralizing nature of it, as well as like guilt from modern day morality, and a lot of different things in After Hours. I can't recommend it enough. It's a fantastic movie. When you watch Good Time, you don't get that same social feeling. It's more like you're watching a very real, possible thing happening with the type of people you would bump into on a street and usually not really think much about. But it's so real, and it's like, okay, if that's real, wouldn't that be more social commentary that there's like a group of people that would be able that function like this? And more specifically, Robert Pattinson's character is so great at displaying a sort of aversion to any norm. And not that he is like a countercultural figure, but in the sense of the way he acts is devoid of normal human constructs of morality. And you kind of see the same with Marty Supreme, except it's a little more basic, which is why I feel like Marty Supreme is the more palatable of the Safdie movies. And Uncut Gems, it's a lot more literal. It's the addiction. It's the gambling. Whereas like you don't say like Marty Supreme has an addiction to his aspirations or goals, nor does Robert Pattinson's character in Good Time have an addiction to like trying to save his brother and be the hero. It's not the same. It's not the same. One is a desire for Marty Supreme, an addiction for Adam Sandler's character in Uncut Gems, and in Good Time, it's a need. It's part of why his character's like acts in this sort of like depravity of morality, and it's so fascinating to watch. But at the same time, when you watch something like The King of Comedy, which I would parallel a lot to Marty Supreme, there's a sort of copying of the desire aspect, or there's and then as well as the aesthetic and the editing being the way it is. And it doesn't devalue the films, which is what I realized when rewatching Marty Supreme, which is a lot of the point of this video, is that when you understand influence, your understanding of the work itself is so much greater. And for Marty Supreme, the way I understood it after that was it's a sort of like you get to see the humbling that you don't necessarily see in The King of Comedy. In The King of Comedy, you technically see a humbling. Spoiler alert, I mean, this movie is like over 40 years old. But like, you see the humbling of the main character when he goes to prison but it's like, it's not really a humbling. In the same way you see that for Marty Supreme's character, but the ending makes it so much different. And that's something that like I really want to stress that's totally different about Safdie movies, is that they love to end in a way that leaves the viewer needing to contemplate, because you kind of have to do that for the modern audience. And I also think they kind of got it from like The Bicycle Thief, which is a movie that they're very much influenced by, but like wanting to leave an ending that causes people to feel something so visceral. And not that you don't get that from After Hours or The King of Comedy, but you get it in a much more clear, specific way with all three of those movies that really is unique to the Safdies, and is why they have a sort of magic of filmmaking that a lot of the greats have. And it's why I think like they deserve to be there. Not to mention their consistency in casting and who they work with in terms of directors of photography, as well as One Tricks Point never doing the sound. I mean, amazing to put those people in those places. And I just love the fact that they're making that sort of film, because now when you think of thrilling suspense movies, action movies, you don't really think of those movies, but it's like they very much are there. And when you think of them now, you more think of like the action comedy. You don't think about the Marty Supremes, even though that's like, if you were to really define it, it's a drama, but it's mainly like, what, a suspense kind of black comedy thriller? I don't know. It sort of serves a certain purpose that now has so much just schlock in there. In conclusion of this video, watch Good Time. Please. It's so good. Also, watch After Hours. And understand the context of where something comes from. This isn't a novel thought, but I just think the context and the influences of the Safdies provides so much more subtext for you to draw from. And check out my music. Thank you for watching.